Hey guys, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to be going over my first StamDK build for the Scribes of Fate chapter. I think that this is an incredibly fun build. It's not the most practical as far as like extreme 1vxing goes, but it is a really fun build, and I can really attest to that. I love it. It's so much fun. It does so much damage. It's actually so funny. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. We are about 100 subs away from 5K, so we're almost there. Please, I would appreciate it so much. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Alright guys, let's get started. First things first, we're going to look at our character sheet. We want to be an Imperial on our DK. I like Imperial the best because of the reduced cost passive that you have on all of your abilities. I really think it helps your overall sustain, and I definitely recommend it for this build. If you want any alternatives to this, maybe Wood Elf or even Orc, but honestly, I think Imperial is the best option. We're going to have 17 points into health and 47 points into stamina to give us a max health pool of 30.4k, max magic pool of 15.3k, and a max stam pool of 24.2k. Our Mundus is going to be the warrior to increase our weapon damage as much as possible. We're going to be using Orzoga Smoked Bear Haunch to increase our to increase our max health by 4,300. We're going to be also using this to increase our stamina and magic recovery by 369 for 2 hours. If you can't afford this, as always, I always say this, use the Jewels of Miserable Food. It's basically the exact same thing. You just lose about 300 health and then 12 magic and stamina recovery, which is honestly nothing at the end of the day. And it's so much cheaper. And then, as always, we're going to be Vampire Stage 3 to increase our tankiness at lower health. It gives us the Undeath passive, which makes us really tanky the lower health we are, and it really helps us from being executed too hard. And then onto our gear, we're going to be using as our one-piece monster set, because we can't fit a full monster set on this build. We're going to be using Magma Incarnate Arm Cops. This is going to, and it's going to be a medium, and it's going to be an impen. This is going to give us just one line of both magic recovery and stamina recovery. One of our two 5-piece sets that we're going to be running is going to be Helm of the Fire in the Heavy Reinforced trait. This is going to be a way to give us weapon and spell damage, max stamina, and then increases our crit chance. And also, when you deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional 2,506 flame damage, and that can occur once every 2 seconds. So since we're going to be using a weapon ability on here that does a dot, it is going to proc every 2 seconds, because I know it says damage with a weapon, but it also procs off of weapon abilities. So that bleed on there is going to proc this every 2 seconds, and that is just so much extra sustained bleed damage. I love it. We're also going to be using a heavy Chest of the Fire in Reinforce as well, and a heavy Greaves of the Fire in Reinforce as well. Those are going to be our legs. Our other 5-piece set is going to be a brand new set called Rune Carvers. This is a lot of fun. It does a lot of damage in a setup like this. I don't really see it being practical in a lot of other situations, but for something like this, I really like it. It's going to be a light set, and so we're going to be using all impen. This is going to give us a line of weapon and spell damage, another line of weapon and spell damage, a line of offensive pen. Then when you deal damage with damage over time effects, you deal an additional 918 flame damage every 3rd damage tick. And so that's going to also scale off of our max weapon or spell damage. So that's going to get buffed when we're buffed up fully, which, you know, if we look at this real quick, it's not too much. Our weapon damage isn't 222. Actually, I have a degeneration on, so I can't really test this out real quick. But overall, trust me guys, it is a lot of damage overall. The heavy sustained damage that we have on this is insane, and I'll get to that when we get to the actual skills, and I'll speak about that. But for now, let's look over the sets and finish this up. So light Rune Carver's gloves in impen, light Rune Carver's sash in impen as well, and then light Rune Carver's shoes in impen as well. Our jewelry is going to also be Rune Carvers in the Bloodthirsty trait with a weapon and spell damage glyph on it and the stamina recovery. So the reason why we're using Rune Carvers as a jewelry is because it is a light set, and I don't really want too much on there. I'd rather have the light. I'd rather have the light on the jewelry rather than the fire, which is heavy, being on our jewelry. So we're using this as our jewelry, and I wouldn't switch it around at all if you're going to follow this build. And then also we're going to be using Ring of the Pale Order with a Bloodthirsty trait on it in the weapon and spell damage enchantment on it as well. Pale Order, we're going to have a lot of dots on this build, and it's really going to be a great way to help our sustain so much, because you're going to be healing like crazy with this. And then also we're going to be using a Runecarver's Ring as our other ring. It's going to be in the Bloodthirsty trait with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it as well. Our front bar weapons are going to be dual wield Maces of the Fire. Our main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a shock damage enchantment on it. Our offhand is going to be charged with a diseased enchantment on it. Then our back bar is going to be Master's Perfected Bow. If you do not have Perfected, the regular one will work just as fine. But the Perfected one is going to give us an extra line of 103 weapon spell damage. Then also the actual Master's Bow itself is going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 330 against targets that are affected by your poison arrow. So again, that's another dot. We're also going to be using an Oblivion damage enchantment on this as well, just for the little bit of extra damage too, because why not? And then onto our skills. Let's go with our front bar. One of our first damage abilities on here, and kind of our spam on this build, is going to be Rending Slashes. This is going to be our damage over time that's going to be proccing our Wave of Fire every 2 seconds. This is a nice little bleed on your enemies, and the initial damage isn't anything to be slept on as well. I really do like it a lot. Shattering Rocks is going to be your CC on this build, so, and this goes through block as well. I really enjoy this ability, especially when we have them fully dotted up. It is phenomenal to see. Degeneration, this is going to be your source of major brutality and sorcery, increasing your weapon spell damage by 20%. And I use this over the, I usually use, oh my god, I forgot the name of it, but, oh my god, I forgot the name of it. What is the name of this skill? I completely forgot. I usually use Molten Weapons, or Igneous Weapons. Sorry, I forgot the name of it. I usually use that, but I felt like since Degeneration is just another dot, I feel like why not use that since we're using a dot damage setup. And then Noxious Breath, this is going to be your source of major breach on your enemies, reducing your physical and spell resistance by 6k. And also, you're leaving another dot on your enemies too, so that is a great another source of damage. And then Venomous Claw. Like I said, we know how this build is going. It is another dot for this build, and I love it so much. The extra damage that this applies is phenomenal. And then Poison Injection. This is going to be what buffs your Master's Bow. And this is also, like I said, another dot, and it is phenomenal. It does so much extra damage when enemies are at lower health, and I definitely respect the damage on here a lot. And then also, this is going to also proc your Wave of Fire. So having this on your enemies and also having your Rending, it is just a great way to double up to make sure that Wave of Fire is always proccing every 2 seconds. Race Against Time, this is going to be your snare removal, and it's also going to be your source of major expedition and minor force, increasing your movement speed by 30% and your critical damage by 10%. So you don't have too much critical damage on here, but I mean, look, why not buff it where you can? Resolving Vigor, this is going to be your main heal over time. This is going to be a nice 5-second heal to get you back to full health whenever you need to really get your health back up. And it's also going to give you Minor Resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 3k. And then Coagulating Blood, this is going to be your main burst heal. So whenever you're taking too much damage for your Resolving Vigor and your main just dots for your Pale Order that are healing you, whenever that's not healing you enough, you use Coag, shoot right back up to full health, easy. And then Volatile Armor, this is going to be your source of major resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 6k for 20 seconds. And then also, this puts a dot on your enemies as well. So this is another thing to proc your Rune Carvers. So overall on this build, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that can proc your Rune Carvers. And your Rune Carver is doing damage on all of these abilities simultaneously. So please do not sleep on that. That is a lot of dots to put on your enemies. And then also Corrosive Armor. This is going to be phenomenal for your tankiness. I really like it. It doesn't really buff your dots at all because it only buffs your direct damage, but it is a great way to stay alive and to, if you have your dots all laid on them and you start spamming Rending, it's going to do a lot of damage. So I definitely recommend this. If you want to go super troll, which I was debating, but I didn't do it, guys, I think Rapid Fire would be hysterical on this build. But finally, onto our champion points. Our blue slottables are going to be Ironclad, Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, and Focus Mending. I was honestly thinking about switching Master at Arms to Thaumaturge, but I haven't really been able to do that yet. But honestly, it's still a great source of damage right there. Then our red slottables are going to be Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, Celerity, and Pain's Refuge. Then the only things that matter in the green tree are Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. And that is the entire build. It is not the most practical build in my opinion as far as 1vxing go, but in a 1v1 situation, a 1v2, even a 1v3, even a 1v4, it is phenomenal, and I think it is so much fun. I haven't had this much fun on a build in a long time, and I definitely do recommend it. But guys, I really hope that you enjoy. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. We're almost at that 5K sub mark. We're about 100 away. So each person that subs gets us that much closer. So thank you so much to everybody that subbed. I'm highly appreciative of all of you. Also, liking the video is so free. It's one click and it helps me out too. Helps me in the algorithm. I love it. Thank you so much. Also, if you want to see builds like this live in action, you can catch me live at twitch.tv/Sekaar, where the link will be in the description. Come check it out. Say what's up. And guys, that's it from me. I could talk all day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.